Jamal Carter had been working the early shift at JFK Airport for almost 7 years. He wasn't flashy, didn't speak much unless necessary, and kept his uniform pressed with military precision. A former Army medic turned TSA agent, Jamal knew how to read people. Not just their bags and IDs, but their energy, their urgency, their silence. That morning, the terminal buzzed with the usual friction. Tired travelers, screaming toddlers, and the silent war between patience and frustration. Then it happened. A thud. Not the kind you ignore. A boy, maybe 14, maybe younger, collapsed near gate 47. His body crumpled as though the air had been sucked from it. No scream. Just a soft, terrifying sound as his head hit the polished floor. People gasped. Some pulled out phones. A few took a cautious step back. Security radios crackled, but no one moved. Except Jamal. He sprinted across the terminal like a man possessed. Knees hitting the ground, he checked the boy's pulse. Weak. Skin pale. Lips turning bluish. Epileptic. Jamal barked at the frozen flight attendant. I don't know, she stuttered. Is this your son? He asked a man in a designer suit who stood paralyzed, trembling. Why, yes, the man managed. Has he eaten? Taken any medication today? The man blinked. Diabetic. He left his glucose monitor in the car. I didn't know, he said he was fine. Jamal didn't wait. He reached into his pocket for the emergency glucose tablets he carried since his army days and slipped one between the boy's lips. Then, gently but firmly, he elevated the boy's legs and cradled his head with his jacket. Stay with me, young blood. I got you, Jamal whispered. Paramedics arrived 4 minutes later. For minutes that felt like 40. By then, the boy had started to stir, groggy but alive. The billionaire father, Richard Vance, CEO of a global tech company, knelt beside his son, eyes wide with a different kind of fear. Not corporate anxiety or PR dread, but a raw, human panic. For a moment, he didn't see a TSA uniform or the color of Jamal's skin. He saw the man who had just saved his only child. And the cameras? Oh, they saw everything. The footage went viral within hours. Not just because a TSA agent had saved a life, but because of what else was caught in that frame. While Jamal kneeled beside the child, others stood frozen. A few security guards watched. 2 airport staff looked at each other, unsure. One man in a suit, another passenger, had his phone out and recorded the scene, never stepping forward. The contrast was stark. One man moved. One man risked his job, his position, his life if things went wrong, and he just happened to be black. News anchors praised Jamal's quick response, but online, the comments were louder. Imagine if he hadn't stepped in. And people say TSA agents don't do anything. Why was he the only one who helped? Others were darker. Would they have arrested him if the boy didn't make it? Thank God there were cameras. Otherwise... The next morning, Jamal was called into his supervisor's office. He expected the usual post-incident paperwork, maybe even a reprimand for acting outside protocol. Instead, Richard Vance was waiting for him. He stood up, shook Jamal's hand, and said quietly, "You saved my son. I owe you more than I can say." Jamal nodded, unsure how to respond. Just did what needed doing. Vance pulled a checkbook from his coat. "I'd like to offer you something substantial. Anything. Say the word." Jamal shook his head. "Keep your money." Vance blinked. "Why?" "Because you don't need to pay me. You need to remember what it felt like. When nobody moved but me." There was no malice in Jamal's voice, just truth. A truth Vance would carry for a long time. Weeks passed. Then, one morning, Jamal's phone buzzed with a strange email, an invitation. "Mr. Jamal Carter, You are cordially invited to speak at the Future of Public Safety Conference, hosted by Vance Global Technologies. He almost deleted it, but something made him show up. Dressed in his Sunday suit, Jamal stood on a stage in front of hundreds of tech leaders, law enforcement officers, and community advocates. He wasn't used to microphones, but his voice didn't shake. You can build all the technology you want, AI cameras, face scanners, emergency alerts. But none of it matters if people forget how to care. That boy was lying there, and everybody looked. But nobody moved. Except me. Not because I'm special, but because I remembered what it's like to be left on the ground. Silence. A long one. Then, a standing ovation. Later that night, Vance approached him again. But this time, with something else. I want to create a foundation, he said. In your name. Scholarships for veterans going into public service. Medical training for TSA and frontline workers. You've changed how I see everything. Jamal smiled, not out of pride, but because of the thought that maybe, just maybe, what happened that morning could mean something bigger. That video now plays at TSA training sessions across the country. Not because a man saved a child, but because the man who shouldn't have had to, did. And all Jamal ever said when asked about it was this. I saw a child on the floor. So I helped. That's what you do. That's what we're supposed to do. And now, every time Richard Vance travels, he doesn't look at TSA agents the same way. Because once, one of them reminded him that courage isn't worn in a suit or stitched into a name badge. It lives in action, especially when nobody else moves.